Welcome to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton by Hilton. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. It's one of the loudest venues in college football, and it might be more hostile than ever tonight. Former Mississippi State coach Dan Mullen makes his return, less than a year after leaving the Bulldogs for Florida. Mullen worked for Urban Meyer at Florida as the offensive coordinator, won a couple of national championships. Then the head coaching opportunity came 9 years at Mississippi State, where he turned the program around. Number 2 all-time in wins. Then he took the Florida job last year, just a couple of days after Thanksgiving. Yesterday, about 5:20 local time, the Florida plane lands in Mississippi. They stay in Tupelo, which is more than an hour away from campus. And then just a couple of hours before kickoff, Mullen enters the grounds, assuming he would not receive a warm welcome here at Davis-Wade Stadium. He told us yesterday it used to be just half the state hated him, Ole Miss fans. Now he said it's the entire state that's not a fan of him.
Well, I'm with Coach Dan Mullen right now.
And moments ago, Mullen led the Gators onto the field here in Starkville.
Coach, describe your emotions here tonight, right now.
It's another game. We got to come out, play hard. I wanted to see our guys play with great effort, great execution. Maybe like a Bizarro world, like Bizarro Jerry out here running to the opposite sideline, though.
Hey, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
He's used to the cowbells. He knows that. Florida won the toss and deferred, so Mississippi State will start on offense first. Here's Brian Cole. He muffs the opening kickoff, now scoops and gets clocked at the 15-yard line. All right, welcome to the booth. We talked with Nick Fitzgerald yesterday, Greg, and he told us, I still remember Dan Mullen saying, I'm not going anywhere, and then 2 weeks leaving. Take us into the mind of a Mississippi State player with this kind of environment. How do you handle it?
It's just another game to a certain extent. But I need to control my emotions. You want to beat Dan Mullen as bad as humanly possible. But knowing how last week went and that you allowed an emotional environment get the best of you, several late calls, several 15-yard penalties, control your emotions, control the environment, and concentrate on your execution.
Yeah, they lost, Greg, in Lexington and committed 16 penalties in that ball game. Here's Fitzgerald taking off on first down, hurdles a Florida player, and is out to the 21-yard line. Senior, his 5th year here, got his finance degree a year ago. Lightly recruited player coming out of Richmond Hill, Georgia. On 2nd and 7, Fitzgerald going to dump it off here for Rob Green. Stretching out, will be close to the first down at the 34-yard line. 12 school records already for Fitzgerald, but this year, remember, he was suspended, violation of team rules, so he didn't play week 1. He's got 4 touchdowns and 2 picks in the 3 games he's played, so coaches were saying he hasn't mastered the offense yet.
And he didn't participate in spring either. Obviously broke his leg on this field last Thanksgiving. So maybe it's slightly behind some of his teammates.
Good running lane for Kylan Hill on 1st and 10. He picks up 6 yards to the 40.
Kylan Hill has been a real difference maker so far the first month of the season. Eris Williams was a great back for Mississippi State for a couple years, but Kylan Hill possesses that home run hitting ability that they just haven't had at the running back spot in some time. It's been very exciting to watch. Elusive, reminds me a lot of Darius Geis from LSU last year.
He's going to catch it here out of the backfield. Gets a block, turns it upfield, and has another Mississippi State first down.
What makes him a little different is that the acceleration, Now, Eris Williams is a guy that can put his foot in the ground. He's going to give you 3 yards in a cloud of dust. He's going to fall forward. He's going to double over the football. He's not going to fumble. But Kylan Hill, that acceleration, as soon as he puts that right foot in the ground and goes north and south, that's where this offense has had an explosive element at the running back spot that they've been missing for a few years.
And here is Williams. And you see the power there to the 45-yard line. They couldn't get the running game going against Kentucky last week. Hill only had 4 carries in that game. Eris Williams on the season averaging only about 5 carries per game.
Last week was a disappointing day for this Bulldog offense, and I know the offensive line took quite a bit of criticism, and rightfully so. They did not play well against a pretty active Kentucky front.
Williams again goes high into the air and is inside the 40 to the 37-yard line.
Sooner or later, Greg, they're going to have to put number 99, Ja'Kai Polite, the Buck linebacker, they're going to have to commit him to the box. He's trying to play both the RPO, the run, and the pass. If he starts coming down, get ready for that ball to be pulled by Nick Fitzgerald.
It's difficult to defend this offense. They spread it so wide horizontally with some of these 3 receiver sets.
Fitzgerald going to keep it here. He fakes the pitch, and he takes on the defender and wins at the 30-yard line, running through the arm tackle of Brad Stewart.
Tom mentioned some of those RPOs. That's what makes this offense a little bit unique. Every single run play, for the most part, is tagged with a passing option.
Yep.
He can throw it to his slot receiver. He can throw it on a fade to Guidry at the top of the screen. He can throw it to the fullback. He can even run it himself and throw it to the running back off of an RPO fake. So many different ways of putting stress on the defense and putting a lot of conflict on those linebackers for Florida.
On 2nd and 3, Hill bounces off a defender and pinballs forward for a first down at the 25-yard line.
Tom, when you look at this Florida defense, especially in the front, they're not what they've been. That's always been a staple of the Florida defense. It's a great front 4 and a really good linebacker core. And of course, they have a claim for DBU, but if you look at the personnel, it's probably not quite where it's been over the last decade. And that's been a point of emphasis for Dan Mullen, Todd Grantham, the defensive coordinator, to make sure they can still rotate enough guys and create some force up front.
Again, Fitzgerald keeps, and this time just slides forward, and it's a short gain.
Yeah, Greg, this is a much leaner group. They look like a bunch of designated pass rushers. There's not a lot of girth. There's some length. They can play on the passing downs, but they don't have that Dominic Easley, Dante Fowler, Carlos Dunlap type of player that we become accustomed to seeing. So they end up being neutralized a little bit in the run game, because if you line up and put them in a phone booth like we're seeing right now, they can be pushed off the ball.
10th play of this drive, Tom. It's taken almost 5 minutes off the clock here in the opening quarter. Fitzgerald again, keeping it inside the 20. He's a big dude at 235 pounds, hard to bring down. He's inside the red zone.
He's always been a very good vertical runner. Not the best sideline to sideline. He's not going to juke and try to evade. He's going to put his shoulder down, and he's going to try to impose his will physically because of his size and the momentum that he creates from that shotgun spot.
3rd and short. Fitzgerald looking to the sideline to get the check from Joe Moorhead, and they shift the back, Kylan Hill, to the other side. Fitzgerald on the option, and he is tackled short of the line to gain by C.C. Jefferson. So it's 4th down, and Mississippi State will bring on the field goal team. It's a good stop there by the Gators. They needed that because the Bulldogs were gashing him on the ground. Chase Chrisman's only 1 of 3 this year. Made field goal was 30 yards. This is a 34-yard attempt. But has no problem here. Gets the Bulldogs on the board first, late in the opening frame in Starkville.
Hail State!
between Mississippi State and Ole Miss. It's run by alumni. They sell tens of thousands of cowbells to Mississippi State faithful. You played here twice. I mean, what's it like down in the field when you hear the cowbells for 4 straight hours?
It's unbelievable. I mean, you just drive back to Tuscaloosa. I played in Alabama. I mean, you cannot hear anything. Don't even bother calling home after the game because you won't be able to hear what they're saying on the other end of the line.
Freddie Swain, excellent kickoff that was angled in the corner. Swain, a long way to run, and he's going to get tackled back at the 10-yard line by Tim Washington. Our Chick-fil-A impact players.
Felipe Franks has to be great tonight, especially knowing that he's playing against 2 of the best defensive linemen in all of college football. Montez Sweat coming off the edge at defensive end, and then Jeffrey Simmons, one of the most disruptive defensive tackles and nose guards that you'll find anywhere. He's gotten off to an extremely hot start this year, and Felipe Franks has to be very mindful about the pass rush and getting the ball out on time.
Franks on the cusp of his goal line, just going to run it here to Scarlett. Gives him a little bit of breathing room, picking up 4 or 5. Felipe Franks, sophomore starting quarterback, originally committed to LSU, ended up a Gator. Got a very athletic family. His brother Jordan currently with the Bengals on the practice squad as a tight end. And then here's all the other members of his family that have either played sports or are currently playing sports. Frank's 9 completions last week in the win against Tennessee, but 3 of those were for touchdowns as they scored 47 points. Franks on 2nd down and 11. Over the middle. Swain able to make the catch short of the 1st down, but it will put them in 3rd and short. 3rd down and a yard. They're going to run it. And Scarlett able to push past the line to gain, moving the pile out to the 21-yard line. Scarlett missed all of last year. He was suspended, involved in a credit card fraud case. And you go back 2 years ago, he had 6 touchdowns.
He's a really good back and is involved in a lot more ways than just running the football between the tackles. He's a good ball carrier out in space. He's pretty good in the passing game where you can find him on an outlet. Maybe not a great route runner, but he can be involved in more ways than one to help this Florida offense.
That was big to get a 1st down when you backed up inside your 5-yard line after your 3rd false start. At least you flip the field a bit, even if you have to punt. P-Ryan on 1st down. Bottled up after minimal yardage.
What I've found interesting so far, and I understand the Florida mentality. Dan Mullen says, hey, I don't care who the defender is. We're going to run what we run. But 2 out of the last 3 plays, they've run right at number 94, Jeffrey Simmons. That guy is not going to move off the spot. I don't care if you block him with 3 offensive linemen. That guy is going to hold his ground. If you're going to try to attack Mississippi State in the run game, don't run at 94.
Pass into traffic to Grimes, and Trayvon Grimes, a transfer from Ohio State, who wanted to get back close to home because of a family issue, allowed to play right away.
Kind of an interesting look there, too. You look as they're going to throw that screen to the left, and then the left tackle, Ivy, he actually turns around and starts blocking back inside, which is kind of a unique way of handling the tunnel screen. And now they're getting another look with Kadarius Toney at the Wildcat quarterback spot.
He's got 4 carries on the year, and he's going to take off here. P. Ryan blocking for him. Toney stumbles and gets thrown down by Kobe Jones at the 37-yard line, so it's a 3-yard pickup.
No, Greg, this is an impressive drive to get out of their own end zone. I was talking to Dan Mullen before the game, and he said he's really starting to script in between series. Once he sees how Mississippi State is going to defend a certain personnel or formation, he's going to then start scripting the next series.
That's how I don't think Florida going to snap it. Nope. So that's the end of the first quarter here in Starkville. Mississippi State trying to bounce back after a loss last week. Florida trying to get its 4th win of the season. 3-0. Mississippi State leads Florida as we get ready to start the second quarter. And the Gators under first-year head coach Dan Mullen. With a 2nd down and 6. Franks over the middle. It's caught by Swain. First down to midfield. You know, it's so interesting with Mullen at Mississippi State for 9 years, and now in his first year back with the Gators where he was the offensive coordinator when Tim Tebow was there winning championships. They played the last time these two schools played was 2010, and they won't play again until 2025. It just happens to fall on the schedule that the one meeting is here the year after Mullen leaves. As the direct snap here to Tony, the Wildcat quarterback. Gets the first down, ran into Ivy, a teammate. He's to the 21-yard line. You see the creativity that we saw under Mullen here.
Yeah, look at the counter option. Running to the right, and then back across to the left. Mississippi State's defense is fast flow. They're aggressive. So as Kadarius Toney starts to his right, that defense is going to run hard to the left. And then the blockers are going to be out in front, and he's going to get numbers. So moving them sideways and sideline to sideline is certainly working so far to Florida's benefit.
Franks will give it to Pirine. Oh, if he could have gotten away from that ankle tackle from Errol Thompson, he might still be running. There is a huge hole in between the hash marks, but down he goes after a short gain.
Greg, Dan Mullen spoke with me during pregame warm-up, and he said, we are going to try and show them so many different things just to get their heads spinning, just to get them thinking, just to slow them down a little bit. And so far, we've seen just about everything in the arsenal. We're just starting the second quarter.
No doubt. Quick throws, quick passing game. The only thing we haven't seen is a shot downfield.
Another run play between the tackles. And Mississippi State grabs the back Pirine and drops him. Thompson in there along with Gary Green again.
Well, Greg, you make a great point. We haven't seen shots downfield, and that's actually been a problem for this offense in the passing game. So it'll be interesting to see what the play choice is and see if they give Felipe Franks and these wide receivers an opportunity to make a play at or near the goal line.
Third down and 12. Franks steps up, takes off, and has to step out of bounds. It'll be about a 40-yard field goal try. Probably just a smart move there by Felipe Franks.
Yeah, and if you watch Mississippi State defensively, Bob Shoop is their defensive coordinator. More often than not, on 3rd and long situations, they're blitzing. They're trying to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand. That time, they break a tendency. They only rush 3 defensive linemen and drop 8 into coverage. And no one was open downfield, forcing Felipe Franks out of the pocket for the short game.
And Franks didn't force it. He did that a lot last year. Had 8 interceptions a year ago, only 2 this year. 39-yard field goal try by Evan McPherson, a true freshman, and he ties the game at 3. So Dan Mullen in his return to Starkville on the other sideline. His team tied early second quarter. Brian Cole is deep for Mississippi State after Florida just tied the game on a 39-yard field goal by a true freshman kicker. Here's Cole from the 5. Flag flies. Cole is taken down at the 21-yard line.
Tom, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Well, I've got some prescriptions for you, and I got my Taco Bell. I got my Taco Bell.
Fitzgerald, a design quarterback run. He's spun down at the line of scrimmage. No gain. Good play by
Jefferson. I got my Taco Bell here, Dave. Huh? Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah, you see it? You needed some more dog. I got my partners here. They all got them. They're cranking it out here down here. We got chalupas and burritos and tacos and tostadas spilling out of our cowbells.
That's just Tom's pregame meal. He's just reciting to you what he had.
Don't hate.
An hour before kickoff. Fitzgerald with time in the pocket. Long throw. It's pulled in by Gibber, who breaks the tackle. knocked out a play. And after he got the first down, Chauncey Gardner on the hit.
A nice throw by Nick Fitzgerald here. Nice and in rhythm. Eyes downfield. Steps up. Great pocket. Tons of time. And he throws a strike to Guidry. Really the first throw that we've seen from either team that was actually downfield. And that was only 10 yards. So you have to think here at some point as these defenders start to get a little closer to the line of scrimmage, both teams might try to take some shots over the top.
Again, Florida depleted secondary to begin with, and they lost starter Trey Dean because of a targeting foul. Fitzgerald throws on the run, and that's a great play. Batting the ball away is Sean Davis. He's a guy that hadn't even played yet coming into this game. Sophomore coming off knee injury, but they think he's talented. You can see why right here.
Yeah, really nice job of closing on this out route. I would say Fitzgerald was a little bit late and a little inside, but you have to credit the defender too. I mean, he closed quickly, got that right arm out in front, and knocked that ball down.
On 2nd and 10, Fitzgerald gives it to Kylan Hill. A huge running lane. Boshawn Joseph tackles him, but it's 13 yards downfield for Kylan Hill.
Look at the movement on the left side of the offensive line. A great job, too, by Jenkins, 74, getting up to the second level. Kylan Hill has broken so many tackles this year. Has such great production at the second level and the third level when he has a full head of steam. But you got to give some credit, too, to that offensive line, especially the center, who made a nice little scoop block on Joseph.
Hill is only 215 pounds, but he's got phenomenal lower body strength. And when Joe Moorhead got the job, he said, watch some Saquon Barkley tape, who Moorhead coached at Penn State the last couple of years. Fitzgerald, nice fake, and a beautiful cut. Showed great vision that time. Close to another first down.
Look at the fake. Fitzgerald's actually reading the end man on the right side of the line of scrimmage because he can hand it on the sweep to the right. Instead, he likes the pocket that was created and he surges forward. Done so many of those over the course of the years. With Dan Mullen and now with Joe Moorhead. The little sweep with the quarterback dive. Tough to stop when you have a 6'5", 235-pound stud at quarterback for the Bulldogs.
Well, no quarterback in SEC history has more 100-yard rushing games than Nick Fitzgerald. He's got 16 of them. Pressure off the edge here on first down. Fitzgerald with a clean pocket and a strike for a first down to Osiris Mitchell into Florida territory to the 39-yard line.
This was well covered. And he throws it right in behind the ear of Jabari Zuniga's 92. And a nice catch by Mitchell. Heavy coverage there by C.J. McWilliams. But a great throw beats great coverage every time. Nice conversion for Mississippi State.
You see the balance so far for Mississippi State offensively. Here's Fitzgerald again. Takes a beating. He gets to the 32-yard line.
Hey, Greg, what a difference a week makes. We're not seeing false starts. We're not seeing sloppiness. We're seeing positive yards on early downs, making the play calling for Joe Moorhead so much more accessible to employing more things in this offense when you're not behind the chains.
What a difference home field makes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how much easier it is to communicate when there's no bells ringing, and it's not very loud while you're standing over the football.
Well, you know how many of these guys, they want to stick it to their former head coach, Dan Mullen, but they have not let their emotions get the better of them so far. 2nd and 3, Fitzgerald gets smacked back at the 36-yard line. They brought a corner that time, C.J. Henderson, and he makes the play, his second sack of the year. Little extracurricular activity afterwards.
What'd you say about controlling your emotions and composure? I mean, literally 30 seconds ago.
It's good timing with a comment, is what you're saying?
Always, yes. No doubt. But it's difficult to control your emotions. And you want to win this game so bad for your team and your school, knowing that your former coach is standing on the opposite sideline.
Well, Florida held up on defense in the first quarter to force a field goal. They may be able to force a punt here depending on what happens on 3rd down and 7 for Mississippi State. But the Bulldogs run the ball, and there's a huge lane for Hill to the outside. And then Hill lowers the boom on Sean Davis. Fearless.
Watch this hole on the left-hand side. Number 55 on the left hand, Greg Island. Does a good job of pushing the defender out. And also a really nice job, too, of the guard.
Whoa.
And a little bit of, see ya.
I mean, he could have just stepped out of bounds, Greg. I think he might have actually been out of bounds, but he wanted
Let him feel you.
impose some physicality. Another run play. Hill straight ahead. This time doesn't get much. Rashad Jackson, leading tackler for Florida, comes in there to make the hit.
We've done Mississippi State quite a few times, guys. They haven't had a back like this guy. This guy is really good.
Really good.
He's only a sophomore, Tom. This is interesting. They bring Keaton Thompson, the backup quarterback, in, and they keep Fitzgerald on the field. So you have both quarterbacks in the backfield at the same time. Thompson pitches it. Fitzgerald. He gets drilled. Sean Davis took one. Now he delivers a blow. Inside the 20-yard line at the 18. It's a gain of 5.
Make sure he was in bounds, and he was. That was actually going to be a pass. Fitzgerald was looking for number 85, Austin Williams, on a little bit of a wheel route up the sideline. They fake it with that speed option. And Fitzgerald, it's almost like an RPO. If you don't like the pass, run it. That's one of your options.
12th play of the drive, 3rd down and 3. Mississippi State's drive stalled in the red zone in the first quarter, had to settle for a 34-yard field goal. Play clock down to 2 here. Fitzgerald in trouble, taken down in the backfield of the 22-yard line. Ja'Kai Polite was right there to greet the quarterback. 3rd sack of the year, and so the field goal unit on the field again.
Just an overload blitz on the right-hand side and a bit of a broken play. When that snap clock is winding down, it's at 3, it's at 2, it's at 1, and there's still a little indecision. If you're the quarterback, fire a timeout. That down on 3rd and 3 in the red zone, just too important to take a sack and have anything that's not left certain.
39-yard attempt. And it's good. Chrisman, 2 for 2. Halftime here in Starkville. Mississippi State 6, the Gators 3. Let's send you now to Adnan Berg, Joey Galloway, and Jesse Palmer in the studio. Mississippi State leads Florida 6-3, and Dan Mullen's return to Starkville. Dave Pasch with Greg McElroy and Tom Luganville on the field. Greg, these are 2 of the top offensive minds in college football. Yeah. No offense, but in the first half for either team. Only 57 combined plays. Yeah. So what do you think this game will come down to in the second half?
Well, it's really been conservative play calling so far. You have to think that both offensive coordinators are going to try to continue to force the issue on the ground. But at some point, they have to get aggressive through the air. Right now, Mississippi State is running the ball much more effectively than the Florida Gators. So look for the Gators to go to maybe a little bit more of the quick passing game that they used at the beginning of the game to move the football efficiently.
Felipe Franks solid in the first half, but you didn't see shots down the field. Nick Fitzgerald on the other side, a lot of quarterback runs. Again, not really any deep shots. Florida will get the football to start the second half. Gators trying to get the 4-1. They were 4-7 a year ago. Mississippi State trying to get the 4-1 as well after a disappointing loss at Kentucky last week. Scott Goodman kicks off. And this is going to be a touchback. It'll come out to the 25. Here's Tom.
Well, thanks, Dave. Listen, talk to Joe Moorhead coming out of the locker room, and he actually put it on himself. He said, I like what we're doing. And, Greg, you're right. He said, we're conservative. We've thrown it 9 times. We completed 6. And he looked at his play sheet, and he said, I've written down some things here that I think can give us a chance in the passing game over the top. And he said, I have to be willing to take that chance, and I'd like to do it between midfield and the plus 35. Our run game's doing what we have to do to get us there. I got to be willing to do what I have to do to get us some explosives.
Thank you, Luke's. Florida starts at a 25-yard line. Out in space, here's Tony to the 41-yard line. So he gets a chunk of it back before Leo Lewis makes the stop.
No, Greg, defensively for Mississippi State, Bob Shoop, he doesn't have any secrets. They're not going to bring pressure on 1st and 2nd down, and on 3rd down, they're bringing the house. And I think Dan Mullen's got to be willing to take some shots thrown into the teeth of the blitz and see if they can make a play in space.
And with quick passing game, too. Knowing there's disappearance at linebacker, might be able to find some holes in the zone.
Scarlett able to make it to the 45-yard line, so picks up 3 yards. So 3rd down and long, 3rd and 8. They go empty. Letting the play clock wind down to 5. Franks from the pocket nearly throws a pick. It is intercepted on the redirection by Cameron Dantzler. Only the 3rd interception thrown by Franks this year.
This is all made possible by Errol Thompson. Look at him read the eyes of Felipe Franks. Directs him right to where he's throwing the football. Look at those eyes. Look at Thompson break on it. Plain as day. Cleveland standing there awaiting it, and any tipped ball at that point of the field is more often than not going to end up in the awaiting arms of a defender. Great play by the Bulldog defense.
Dantzler from Louisiana, a high school quarterback, sophomore cornerback, gets the first takeaway of the game. Now Fitzgerald off play action, looking to take a deep shot. Receiver comes free. It's dropped by Mitchell. Put it on the ground when he would have had Pater instead.
Oh my goodness. Nick Fitzgerald throws maybe the best ball that he's thrown all season on a deep post route. Great trajectory on top of the defense.
Well,
and
great,
Mitchell
Joe Moorhead
can't bring it on.
Joe Moorhead was willing to do it.
Great throw by Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald to throw again. That's deflected by C.C. Jefferson. You're an offensive lineman there. You got to make sure you stab, metaphorically speaking, that defensive lineman so he can't jump up in the air on that, right?
Yeah, you try to. And if you actually look at Stuart Reese, he tried to go attack C.C. Jefferson, but Jefferson, the senior, played a lot of football, recognized that it was going to be a quick pass, and he retreated, made it a tougher throw for Nick Fitzgerald.
Just got to be disheartening, though, when you have a sure touchdown, you drop the ball, now you got to come back after the interception, place is going wild, and now you're in 3rd and 10. Fitzgerald gets hit, ball flutters, it's caught, but down goes Guidry. He had some green in front of him. 4th down, another injured offensive lineman. It's actually Darrell Williams who's back in the game. He got shaken up on that play. He missed a good part of the first half. It was replaced by Michael Story, but he's trying to tough it out.
And that play right there has to be really disheartening to Mississippi State fans, because that play looked exactly like what they saw time and time again last week against Kentucky. That time it was Ja'Kai Polite running right around Stuart Reese in the speed rush upfield.
Swain, Mississippi State thought he signaled for a fair catch. Swain breaks tackles, is past the 25. It wasn't a good punt by Cody Schexnayder, and then Swain with a nice return. Franks on second down, dumps it off to the back, Pirine. And Pirine, close to a first down, will come up a yard short. We asked Mullen yesterday, what was your favorite moment at Mississippi State? He said, without question, when we got to #1 in 2014, when we beat Auburn with Dak Prescott at quarterback. Again, you look at where they finished in the top 15 prior to his arrival, the bowl appearances, bowl wins against top 10 teams. His current team faced with a 3rd and 1 early on here in the third quarter. It's going to be Pirine, and he's got the first down. Out past the 40-yard line.
22, Pirine on the carry.
You know, the one thing that Dan Mullen and his staff did a wonderful job of, fellas, was player identification and player development. And I think that's going to be a huge point of emphasis for this Florida roster going forward. Because now, being at Florida as opposed to Mississippi State, your access to players has been greatly enhanced.
Can he get the program back to where it was a decade ago? Delayed pitch to Pirine. He turns on the Jets. Stays in bounds, but then stumbles and goes down inside the 40-yard line.
I like this design. You show a little inside zone, and then you go to a little speed option. It's kind of neat to draw the defender in, make him commit. Then Pirine shows you some of his potential. I've told you before, man, these running backs, I know the rest of the team still trying to figure themselves out.
Felipe Franks will throw on first down, leaves the pocket, throws, and Pirine makes the grab at the 20-yard line. Got lost there. 2 defenders for Mississippi State went to the receiver, Hammond, and that left Pirine open.
Yeah, and this is where Felipe Franks is at his best. When he gets outside the pocket and you can see the whole field, he throws the ball really well on the run. Just confident. Being an athlete, moving on the perimeter, and a good job by Pirine securing the catch.
So it's a gain of 15 yards. They're at the 20-yard line. This is going to be a double pass. Tony to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Morrill Stevens is there to pull it in. The former quarterback, Kadarius Toney, with the toss. The Gators on top. 9-6. And McPherson makes it a 4-point lead midway through the third.
Sometimes you got to get creative. So what does Dan Mullen do? He takes the converted quarterback, Kadarius Toney, the double pass to Stevens. And the Gators are feeling it in Starkville.
Massive momentum shift. An interception by Mississippi State. They drop a sure touchdown. And then Florida quickly marches down the field and scores to take the lead.
This is Dan Mullen knowing the tendencies. This short motion right here causes communication because of the stack alignment that it creates, which allows Stevens to just slip right out on the corner route. Look at the communication in the back end. And they're looking, obviously, at Kadarius Toney. And there he goes, Morrill Stevens right past him, which is really interesting because Kadarius Toney just threw it with his right hand. And earlier in the game, he was shaken up and went to the sideline saying, my right shoulder, my right shoulder. He starts grabbing his right shoulder. Clearly that right shoulder is perfectly fine because he just threw a strike to Morrill Stevens for the go-ahead touchdown.
It wasn't after the hit, though. Clearly he was hurting because he got walloped as Fitzgerald runs straight ahead and gets good yardage on first down. Here's Adnan in the studio. And Stanford has been struggling to run the ball. That's a sight for sore eyes. Speaking of sore, man, Nick Fitzgerald getting battered around as you look at Tony on the Florida bench. And how he's accumulated his 70 yards in this game.
He's done a little of everything, and he can. That's part of the beauty of Kadarius Toney. Just a very good athlete that can create in a lot of ways. Came to Florida as a quarterback, started his career there, quickly transitioned to kind of a do-it-all type of player for this offense.
Fitzgerald is looking deep. That's behind the intended receiver, Mitchell, incomplete. I think initially he was going to throw it downfield, but that man was covered, so he went underneath.
Yeah, he was. That was a shot play. They were trying to run Keith Mixon right through the middle of the field. Those safeties were wide, and they did a good job of expecting it. This is the part of the field where Joe Moorhead does take chances, especially when they have some momentum, which is exactly what they had coming into that first down.
Moorhead replacing Dan Mullen. He was at Penn State the last 2 years, head coach at Fordham for 4 years prior to that. Native of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Fitzgerald keeping it, no running room. He's grounded at the 46-yard line, a loss of 1. You had to Darrell Slayton, who made the tackle, and what a great story. Sophomore from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. When he was about to start his high school career, he and his mother got evicted from their home. They had no place to go. So a gentleman by the name of Dave Lamont took him in, and he lived with Lamont for 4 years. If that Dave Lamont name sounds familiar, that's because he works for ESPN. He's a play-by-play announcer who you saw call the Friday night game last night. Here's 3rd and 11. Fitzgerald lets it go, and it's over the intended receiver's head. Keith Mixon, 4th down for Mississippi State. Oh, here is Slayton with the Lamont family.
That's awesome, and we of course get to know Dave over the years. It's really cool that he would be willing to take Slayton in, and obviously really special. It means a lot to Slayton with the impact Lamont's had on his life.
You see the tattoo reading "Family Knows No Color." Slayton was not initially highly recruited, but ended up getting 17 offers after his freshman year of high school. Who knows where he might be without the Lamont family stepping in and helping out. Fair catch at the 11-yard line. Freddie swing. First down for the Gators on their 10-yard line, leading by 4. 4:39 on the clock here in the 3rd. Trying to pick a hole. Scarlett pushed back at the 13, so that's a 3-yard run for Jordan Scarlett. You had Corey Thomas in there first for Mississippi State.
And this is the area of the field, Tom, that we've been talking about every time we've done a Mississippi State game. When you're backed up on offense and you have the student section behind you, it becomes imperative to make sure that all your communication is sound, nonverbal more than likely, because they are backed up in the most probably crazy part of the stadium.
Will they come after him here? Franks out in space. Grimes tripped up, but he got the first down to the 23-yard line.
And this is their passing game right now. And this is their passing game because they don't need to do a ton over the top. They have numbers on the perimeter with some of their bubbles and their quick stop routes.
Yeah, Greg, they're just counting numbers in the box, and there's more maroon jerseys in there than they can block. Popping it out to the perimeter and let your guys go.
And clearly challenging this receiver core and Felipe Frank's arm.
The offense looks totally different for Florida here in the second half. Off play action, and Frank stepping up, slides. They mark him down at the 27, a 4-yard pickup.
With these RPO offenses, you really can't be wrong in the run game. Now, of course, you still have to win at the point of attack. You have to block the right guys and have correct communication, get to the second level. But if the quarterback sees the field correctly, you can almost never be wrong. Just about execution at that point.
Here's Grimes again with blockers out there, but Grimes is wrapped up and thrown down at the 27-yard line by Willie Gay. Big third down here for for Mississippi State's defense. No eardrum is safe here in Starkville. 3rd down and 5 for Florida. Franks looking over the middle. 1st down catch. How about Kyle Pitts, a true freshman? He's been dressed for every game, but
Great job by Pitts. They motion away, and they find a little bit of space in man coverage working against Dantzler. And next thing you know, it's a 1st and 10 for Felipe Franks. Great throw on the quick slant against man coverage, and tight coverage at that, by one of the best cover guys for the Bulldogs. And that's their passing game. I mean, that's their run game. They have plenty of space, plenty of field. And Tom, if you look at this passing game right now, and you look at their run game and how they want to tie it all together, the path of least resistance is on the perimeter.
No doubt.
It's not between the tackles into Jeffrey Simmons and Montez Sweat. Dan Mullen's going to have to continue to make sure that that's a focal point for their offense as they move forward.
Well, and Bob Shoop is slanting the defensive front away from where the ball's going, so you have nobody covering down to chase the ball from the inside out on defense.
Thanks, fellas. Apologize for the technical difficulties, but we're good to go now. 1st down for Florida, just shy of midfield. Franks on the run, turns it upfield, and gets spilled by Willie Gay in Mississippi State territory after a gain of about 3 yards. So we play 3 quarters here in Starkville, and it's the Gators by 4.
To the 4th quarter we go here in Starkville under the lights. The Gators in front by 4, trying to get to 4-1 on the season. Mississippi State trying to avoid an 0-2 start in conference play. Dameon Pierce in the game at running back right now. The true freshman. Fake it to him. Franks will swing it out. And Grimes gets the 1st down inside the 30-yard line as they continue to work the perimeter and move the chains.
And it's all efficiency. I mean, every single one of these throws is an extended handoff. There's no difference between that play right there and doing a toss sweep that we saw for a million years. It's the same thing. You're working the same part of the field. It's just a little different presentation.
How about 11 different receivers with a catch? Felipe Franks doing a good job spreading the ball around. Pierce going to get the carry here. Sweat drags him, but can't get him down until the 16-yard line. That's a 6-yard run for Pierce. Got a couple of touchdowns already. Got a 47-yard touchdown run against Tennessee last week.
He's supposed to be the real deal. Yeah, I've heard nothing but really good things about him. I've heard comparisons to Emmitt Smith. I will not go that far.
Don't go there.
But I will say that it looks very promising in the early going. He's only a month into his college career.
Here's Pierce again, and he comes up short of the 1st down. So to bring up 3rd down, big for Mississippi State here. Can Jeffrey Simmons and Montez Sweat, who for the most part have been quiet in this game, save a play here or there? Can they come up big on that defensive line to force a field goal?
Watch out for a potential wildcat. If Frank runs out, there he goes.
There it is. Direct step to Scarlett, and he stood up at the point of attack. Errol Thompson in there first. It's 4th down. Got a true freshman kicker, Evan McPherson. He's already made a 39-yarder.
Dan Mullen's thinking of this when he's looking at the sheet. He's given no indication now. Kind of checking out these yardsticks.
I don't know, guys, why you would even mess with going for it. I mean, Mississippi State hasn't been able to move the ball since that drop would-be touchdown. Just kick the field goal and get a 7-point lead.
Yeah, but if touchdown beats you either way, touchdown ties you or beats you. Still, I keep the offense on the field. I would, especially if they're backed up, bad field position, even if you don't convert. So I like the idea of being aggressive and going for it.
And he takes the direct snap, and he dives and appears to have the first down. First down, Florida.
Man, pretty good surge, but tell you what, I mean, that was just, I wanted a little bit more right there, because if you look at it, Leo Lewis and Errol Thompson run through unblocked and make the collision behind the yard to gain. And Scarlett says, no, sir, I'm surging forward. He picks up a key first down.
And it also gets that clock moving for Florida, where it's 7 minutes to go now. Franks over the head of Swain, incomplete. Rare poor throw by Franks in the second half.
Really one of the few that's been off target, especially on those throws that are behind the line of scrimmage that they've been so effective running.
And you've always said those are some of the harder throws, right? Because
to the right they are, to the left quite easy because your shoulders are already squared. You just don't want to aim it. You know, if you aim it, that's when it gets a little dicey. But here they are in an empty formation. You got to think at some point they're going to take a shot and try to find arguably their best wide receiver, Van Jefferson.
The only touchdown by either team was on a trick play. Here's a design run by Franks. Oh, it gets blocked at the 10-yard line by Leo Lewis. That's third and long.
You get the sense that he's playing just to run the clock down. Dan Mullen here on this sideline, and would be content with the field goal given that play call, Greg.
Yeah, for sure. But at some point, they haven't really targeted Van Jefferson hardly at all tonight. 4 targets. And they're double covering him down here with a safety in a corner. But keep an eye on number 12, the transfer from Ole Miss, who's been their most consistent receiver tonight.
Franks was looking that way. Now throws across the middle. They're short of the line to gain. It's 4th down and 1 again. You're in the middle of the field. You're guaranteed to get 3, you would think here, although you do have a true freshman kicker. That was Cleveland who made the catch, by the way. But the offense is staying on the field.
I can tell you they're not going to make their decision prior to 5 seconds being left on the play clock. They're going to wind this all the way down and snap it with as little time left as humanly possible.
Well, they got to hurry. They don't want to have to burn another timeout. They're yet to the line of scrimmage, and the play clock is at 9.
It should be okay.
And McPherson hits it. Florida's lead is 7 with 5:22 to go here in Starkville. Yeah, that's certainly interesting, but maybe what's even more interesting is that Kentucky might be the second best team in the East behind Georgia, which is a national title contender.
I mean, I'm not saying this facetiously. Now, if Kentucky played Georgia, I'd pick Georgia every single time. But every time you pick against Kentucky, they go out and dominate. They thrive on being the underdog.
Here's Cole on the 2-yard line for Mississippi State. Excellent kickoff coverage. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson down there with the tackle. Take a look. They're going to run it. Hill looking to get outside, trying to fight off Polite. Gets on top of him there. He went for a ride, jumped on his back. Hey, get him down any way you can. 1-yard run. And Hill shaken up. I mean, look at that. 91 minutes of game time, no touchdowns.
If you watch them, they've just been out of sync. And their entire offense is predicated on the run game. I mean, they have to be able to run the ball efficiently and create some big plays off play action because of that run game. And when the run game's stymied, Nick Fitzgerald hasn't proven to be accurate enough to dice you up through the air.
Fitzgerald throws incomplete. C.J. Henderson in coverage. Mississippi State's touchdown drought right now is its longest since 2009, Dan Mullen's first year as the head coach of the Bulldogs. And now Joe Moorhead, the head coach currently. What will he dial up here for Nick Fitzgerald, who's only thrown for 80 yards in this game, and it's 3rd down and long. 35 yards this half. Credit Florida's defense as well.
Just man-to-man coverage across the board for the Gators. Their bread and butter.
They're coming after Fitzgerald here. Blitz is picked up. Pass tipped at the line and incomplete. It was Polite who got a hand on it. It's 4th down, and Mississippi State goes 3 and out.
And Mississippi State, when you're trying to figure out your identity, what play do we run better than any other play in our playbook? And they ran it right there. You run Keith Mixon on a little crossing route. You run a dig in behind it. They run it out of every formation. And when it's not your night, sometimes it's just not your night. Can't get the hands down. It's incomplete. Now they're punting.
Tucker Day is the new punter and does a little bit better than the last guy. It'll go out of bounds around the 35-yard line. Mississippi State with all of its timeouts left, 4:33 on the clock, got to come up with a stop. All right, Florida offensively. Dan Mullen, not known to be conservative, but 4:33, are you just about milking the clock here?
Milking the clock, but still thinking about those behind the line of scrimmage passes that have been so good for you in the second half.
From the Gator 35. They run Pierce, and if you're Mississippi State, that's just way too much. I mean, they're getting pushed around at the line of scrimmage, which I think we all thought would not happen in this game.
Yeah, and Tom, if you actually look at some of the cutback lanes, they've been bigger than what I've seen in quite some time. Last week, I thought it was an anomaly because Kentucky runs the ball so efficiently, but to have those cutback lanes against Florida is surprising for a Mississippi State defense.
Yeah, and this defense, again, is slanting oftentimes to the field, and it creates that cutback lane in your zone run game, and Dameon Pierce in this backfield has done a nice job of exploiting it. Pierce, a former Alabama verbal commit, switched late to the Gators, and he's been a pleasant surprise as a freshman.
Yeah, getting a lot of reps here in crunch time on 2nd and 3. Another big hole. 1st down, Florida in Mississippi State territory. Wow.
Number 47, Pierce on the carry. 38.
And they ran right at Jeffrey Simmons right there, too. I mean, that is just remarkable. To know that they're running right at the best player on the field and finding gaps in the front. It's just, you don't see it very often. You have to really tip your cap to the adjustments that they've made offensively and their commitment to the run game for part of the second half.
Florida letting that clock wind down before the Gators snap it. Nearing 3 minutes to go in the 4th with a 7-point lead. Snap was a little high. Ball on the ground. Franks falls on it. He couldn't get the handle. He was going to try to swing it out to Josh Hammond, and it just slipped out of his hand, and it's a loss of 3.
I mean, this is crazy. Ball a little high. Running back hits him. This is a little RPO. Nothing to be seen there. The running back, and I believe it was Pierce.
Yeah.
He's a...
On 2nd and 14, Franks, Pierce out of the backfield, trying to stay in bounds. He couldn't. So that'll stop the clock for now and mark him out at the 42. So he got 6 yards. It'll be 3rd down and long.
That's a freshman for you.
Yeah. I mean, that is just a freshman mistake. Unaware of where you're at on the field, you go out of bounds, and the clock winds, but it hesitates for a little bit.
Yeah, it's about 8 or 10 seconds.
8 or 10 seconds is significant in a one-score game like this.
Will Florida run it? If they don't get it, force Mississippi State to call a timeout? Or do they sling it and try to get the 1st down at the 39-yard line through the air? They will throw. Frank steps up, hit, and the pass is nearly intercepted by Mark McLaurin, but it is incomplete. It's 4th down. They'll have to kick it back to the Bulldogs.
Montez Sweat. I mean, we haven't called his name much, but these are what players do when the game and you have to have it. You need to stop. Pass rushers, man, they're closers. their most important with 2 minutes left in the game. Sweat forces the errant pass and the incompletion. Great job running the corner.
Tommy Townsend on the punt. Keith Mixon is back. Really good kick. Fair catch made at the 12. All right, Adnan here. We've got 2:19 to go. Mississippi State starts this drive on its 12. Trying to avoid an 0-2 start in the SEC in Joe Moorhead's first year as the head coach here in Starkville. Nick Fitzgerald has struggled throwing the football in this ball game, although his best pass of the day was dropped by Osiris Mitchell. Would have been a touchdown in the third quarter. Fitzgerald going to get hit. Thrown down at the 5-yard line. Boy, Ja'Kai Polite has turned it up here in the fourth quarter. His second sack of the game.
Ja'Kai Polite just running right around the edge. And this is definitely problematic if you're Mississippi State, because that's exactly what Kentucky did time and time again last week with Josh Allen, number 41, coming off the edge. These tackles are having a hard time getting out of their stance. In an obvious passing situation, they got to do a better job.
Loss of 7. Fitzgerald has to step up to avoid a safety. Now he's on the run, slips a tackle, and out of bounds at the 12. And boy, he got pushed. Got pushed by Adam Schuler, and it looked like he was out of bounds. There was a penalty flag down, but it's not on the sideline.
He just bends and gets so low that the offensive tackle.
Defense number 1. A 10-yard penalty will result in a first down.
Can't block it.
That's a big penalty by Florida. Not sure who they called it on. They don't have a number 1 on their roster, so it wasn't on him.
John Doe, you're not saying that he held?
Maybe it was number 11, Boshawn Joseph, but they announced number 1.
I can tell you no one's going to volunteer to take that penalty tomorrow in tape. That's for sure.
Right. First down on the 23. That's a huge penalty. 1:40 to go. 2 timeouts left. Fitzgerald in trouble again, and he gets hog-tied, and that's a penalty on C.C. Jefferson.
Personal foul, face mask, 96 defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
You got to be more disciplined if you're C.C. Jefferson. Make it so easy on the official, and you give him 15 free yards with a clock stop.
Yeah, it's tough, though. I got to give C.C. Jefferson credit. I mean, it's tough. You're trying to hit a moving target. Nick Fitzgerald's trying to evade by going low. Your arms are high. You just hold on for dear life. I mean, that happens sometimes with the game moving as fast as it does.
Clock starts on the snap. Fitzgerald from the pocket. Receiver comes free to the 45 of Cedric Thomas. 17-yard gain. Clock moving on the ready for play after they got the stick set. Fitzgerald to the air again. Here comes pressure. Pass is a little bit underthrown, and Mitchell couldn't come up with it. Second down.
Dangerous throw.
Mitchell bailed him out.
Yeah, with a little bit better step by the corner, C.J. McWilliams. They might have had a chance to knock that ball down and possibly even take it the other way. Florida opting to bring pressure there on first down.
That was McWilliams in coverage, so the clock stopped now. 1:13 to go, second down and 10. Play clock is at 8. 2 timeouts left for the Bulldogs in Florida territory. Play clock at 1. Fitzgerald pumps. Pass behind the intended target, Justin Johnson, incomplete. Obviously in 4-down territory. David Reese in coverage. Here comes 3rd and 10.
No gain, 3rd and 10.
And Tom, looking at Florida defensively, right there, they had a big vacancy in the middle of the field, and Fitzgerald tried to throw it on a little back shoulder over the middle. Let's see if Florida mix up that coverage and changes things up, because they don't want to leave that much space. That might have been a little bit of a confusing element. Yeah. It looks like Florida might even become with pressure off the left-hand side.
Fitzgerald almost intercepted. Not on the same page with Jesse Jackson, the receiver, and C.J. McWilliams almost picked it off the ground. It's 4th and 10.
Hey, Greg, you remember a year ago when we were here, and Todd Grantham, the Florida defensive coordinator, was the defensive coordinator at Mississippi State versus Alabama, and he came after them, and it cost them. It'll be interesting to see what he chooses to do here.
This could be the game right here for Mississippi State. Here comes the blitz. Fitzgerald gets walloped and sacked. Donovan Steiner with the hit, and the Bulldogs turn it over on downs. Florida's about to win this one.
That is just knowing tendencies. Todd Grantham, his whole career, will always attack the quarterback in that situation. And you see some guys lurking. All of a sudden, here they come. And Moorhead knows it. He sees it. Unfortunately, his quarterback does not.
And Moorhead looked like he wanted targeting on Steiner. But Florida takes over on downs. Mississippi State can only stop the clock once. Grantham getting congratulated by his players. 6 sacks on the night for Florida. The Gators are going to match their win total from all of last year. Meanwhile, Mississippi State, which had such high hopes coming into the season, going to fall to 0-2 in the SEC. 3-2 overall, and their run of 12 consecutive weeks of being in the top 25 is going to come to an end. And Dan Mullen's going to win in his return to Starkville against the program he built over the last 9 years. Again, such a scheduling quirk. They haven't played since 2010. They won't play again until 2025. It just happens in Dan Mullen's first year that the game is in Starkville. He's been showered before in this stadium for some big wins, but this will be his first as a visitor, as the Gatorade is ready. Probably feels good. It's pretty muggy down there.
No doubt. It'll be interesting to see the embrace with all his former players, though. You know he still has a real soft spot in his heart for all those guys that came and decided to play for him.
Florida's offense, much different look in the second half than the first, and the defense for the Gators gives up just 6 points.
Coach, yeah, big win. You said you were emotional, but the emotion was about the players and the relationship. You'd do anything to win the game, though. What's it feel like now?
It's awesome. I mean, our guys played their butt off. We came in here, battled in an unbelievable game. I mean, it's emotional. I love all these kids on the other team to death. I love our guys believing in me. As a coach, this is a kind of a special night. I mean, the game, I love the competition of it. I love the atmosphere here that we helped create. It's just great to get a win.
Got some nice wrinkles offensively, and I thought Felipe Franks looked really poised tonight. How would you assess his performance?
I think they managed the game pretty well. I think our quarterback, I think everybody managed the game. We handled the situation, the adversity. Pretty well. So, it's a great win. We can keep building off this. We got a tough one next week at home, though.
Coaching profession, you're going to be involved in change. You move on to another place. You have relationships here. What do you have to say about this Mississippi State team?
Well, I mean, this is an awesome team. You watch how hard they play, how hard they battle. All the kids that are out here help recruit. I mean, they're kids that might not be all 5-star kids on the field, but they play their butt off, and they did that tonight. What a tough battle. Great to see all these kids here.
Thanks, Coach. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.
I heard Dan Mullen say they got a tough one next week. They've got LSU. We've got LSU on ESPN next. The Tigers taking on Ole Miss. So long from Starkville, 13-6 Florida.